When facing a good tactician and a terrible opening player, a good recipe is to make a miniature. Check this one. It's the Semi-Slav with a weird bishop b4 move, typically underestimated. Normally black takes on e4 and then plays the bishop b4 check. That leads to a dynamic middle game in which knowing the theory may be crucial. But immediate bishop b4 puts pressure on e4 and white cannot develop normally without first showing their interest in the center. I took on d5 and the idea is to transpose into the advanced variation of the French defense in case black recaptures with a c-pawn. Notice how the version of the advanced French is not good for black thanks to their bishop on b4 being completely misplaced. Black, of course, took with the e-pawn. Now e5. That was the point of trading on d5. Gaining space, taking away the f6 square from the g8 knight, and making the bishop on b4 along with the pawn on c6 useless, considering needs of their position. The pawn wants to go to c5, challenging white's center, and the bishop belongs on e7. However, black shouldn't be unhappy, because their light square bishop suddenly is free to move along the c8 h3 diagonal. Knight e7 is expected, as well as bishop d3. Knight g6 is done with an idea to block diagonal of the d3 bishop towards the h7 pawn, but the move bishop f5 does the same, only better, in case they manage to remove the best minor piece on the board, the d3 bishop. This is the key moment of the game and the reason to publish this video. We'd like to treat the awkwardly placed knight on g6 by playing h4, h5. With initiative on the king side. And if black takes the h-pawn, we can first go with g3, then knight f3 and king f1, king g2, basically castling by hand and keeping the h1 rook on the semi-open file. If you haven't seen this strategic idea before, try to remember its point, which can be even more convincing if black would have castled short. We'll put it on the board for you to see how good it looks, and the price is only a pawn. But in the game we had another approach, also typical when attacking the castle king and the enemy's knight is a bit misplaced on g6. That's queen h5. The queen wants to be active before the knight gets out on f3 or e2. Plus, there is the fact that the black knight, being on g6, is not able to do much to chase the queen away, so she stays active, waiting for black to castle short. However, instead of castling, black could have used the general strategy when the opponent is just moving the queen around and not taking care of the development, that's to strike in the center and open the game, in this case with an aggressive c5. White's argument may be that it is questionable who is better developed, cause black has also wasted a move with their knight e7, knight g6 maneuver. In any case, in the game black made a huge mistake castling. And now, according to Stockfish, white is ahead by almost a whole piece. And why is that so? Is white's attack on the king side so promising? And what is the way for white to continue the attack? I'm taking the analysis down for about 5 seconds, and if you want, feel free to pause the video and take some more time to think. First, we go with knight f3, and the goal is to get to g5 and hit the h7. Black cannot play h6, because first of all the g6 is hanging, and second, we can even sacrifice on h6, and we are crushing in. So black moves the bishop back to e7. Now, should we castle or develop the bishop, or maybe later even castle long? Well, no time to waste. Since the center is covering our king for the time being, we have a moment to put more pressure, and that can be done again by advancing h4. The goal is to get the knight to g5, recapture and open the h-file. Now if the rook gets involved, the attack is going to be deadly. Black couldn't find anything good to stop it, and white may proceed with the plan. It is move 11, and black is, according to Stockfish, already losing by 9 points. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Now h7 is definitely falling, no matter what black plays. Perhaps rook e8, so that after queen takes h7, king f8, white needs at least to trade on g6 in order to collect the second pawn and continue threatening the king. Even though it is lost, that seems like the best option to fight on. Instead, we had f5. White takes. In case of g takes f6, queen h7 is mate, so king f7, and then queen takes h7, threatening bishop takes g6, checkmate. Rook g8, trying to keep the g7 pawn and free up the f8 square for the king. Now, I know it is not interesting to watch this further, as black's best move is to resign, but let's try to find the best way to finish them off. For example, here, instead of an obvious move pawn takes g7, there was an immediate bishop h6. Excellent move which prepares bishop takes g7 with mate to follow. Instead, I played an ordinary move f takes g7, and only after rook takes g7 I brought the bishop to h6. Stockfish can see a checkmate in 8 moves here, but I couldn't find a way to finish them off so efficiently. Again, I'm going to turn off the engine and ask you to find a way to get to the black's king. Feel free to pause the video and write down your solutions in the comments below. Okay, I'm moving on with the move f4. The idea is to advance to f5 and even to f6, hitting the g7 rook. Now, this is not the most efficient plan. There is a faster way to put the g7 rook in danger than using the f-pawn. In general, we are not interested in taking the dead g7 rook yet, because it is pinned and it paralyzes a couple of other black's pieces. Black is developing their last minor piece, but it cannot move anywhere good except of going to f6, and that's why I decided to castle long and remove my king from the e-file. You can see that I'm not rushing to collect material or simplify, although sometimes simplifying is the best option. Instead, I'm trying to find the best possible execution, basically playing my own game, challenging myself to find the most accurate way to finish the job. And I can tell you that there is a great satisfaction in that kind of a game as well. I'm teasing you to try that next time when you are winning and your opponent doesn't want to resign. You'll see it is going to be fun, but also teaches you to fight the best you can, even though the result is obvious. If you want to see more of these analyzed OTB games, visit the playlist on the Bad Bishop Chess channel. Also, if you want to support us, hit the like button and leave a comment.